Listen, we've all been there, starting off with maybe once a week when we were young, then climbing up to 3 times a week, 5 times a week, sometimes even to getting to 5 times a day, scrolling on Pornhub, spending hours looking for the right perfect video, memorizing 10, 20, 30 porn stars off the top of your head, crazy, instantly. Yeah, if this is you, fapping might be a problem, as it was for me, and I'm here to help you out talking about fapping today. Watch this video. Wasted my 20s and 30s fapping. Hey everyone, I'm a newcomer to this venue, but I've been addicted to PMO for most of my life. I'm 41 now. Wow. I've been addicted to the dopamine and adrenaline rush without really knowing what it was. Since before the dawn of the internet. I've been addicted to MO MO is masturbation if you guys don't know, since I was 12 or 13 years old. Fantasizing about my grade school teachers and girls in my class, which I think is kind of normal. In my 20s, I found that I could get a much bigger high from magazines and VHS tapes. Somehow, I still managed to have relatively normal relationships, and even a few girlfriends here and there. But I was unhappy and depressed, and always suffered from feelings of general weirdness and social anxiety. I knew there was something quote-unquote wrong with me, but I could never put my finger on it. And amazingly, I never made the connection between my social issues and my PMO addiction. In fact, I never thought of PMO as a problem at all, much less an addiction. It had become such a familiar quote-unquote friend, I didn't even want to consider letting go of it. I was in complete blind denial. When the internet came along, everything got worse. I'm sure I don't need to go into detail here about why that is the case, or was the case. Needless to say, for me it was going like straight from weed to crack. My addiction became all-consuming. Any productive creative outlets I once had were now about to slowly fade into the background. My life gradually became narrower, shallower, and more hopeless. I lost friends. I lost the ability to flirt or have any kind of meaningful sexual relationship with a woman. I avoided people whenever possible. I made excuses for not hanging out or going to family functions. I punished myself mentally and emotionally, dwelling on the guilt and the shame. Things got so bad that I punished myself mentally and emotionally. Things got so bad that I was finally, for the first time, able to make a connection between PMO and horrible feelings of shame and depression. Maybe it was because I had finally hit rock bottom and could no longer avoid the reality staring me in the face. How could I have missed it all along? How blind could I have possibly been? I have since, over the past several years, been able to muster the energy for several rounds of no-fap, without calling it that, of course. Unfortunately, my success have been limited. I once abstained from porn for a month while continuing to masturbate as a stress release. That was years ago, but it stands out in my mind as a bright spot. That was the point where I understood finally that there was a very strong connection between my depression and my PMO behaviors. I knew this because after a few weeks without porn, I really started to feel a change in my life, but it got too difficult for me, and I relapsed, and I went back into the darkness for several more years. My struggle has been on and off since then. I can just get about through a week now without PMO at all, but I keep relapsing. I think I'm ready to finally make a big push. I need to do this. For any of you younger people out there, if you can relate to my story at all, take a lesson from me. I am allowed this to go on for way too long. I'm now in my 40s, and my life has become about as narrow and hopeless as it has ever been. I still don't even know where to begin with women. I wasted my youth. 20 of the best years of my life. Well, actually, it's not 20, it's around 30. And I can never get them back. Perhaps the worst part of this is the feeling of utter remorse and regret about what could have been. And I've gotten this under control earlier. Had I gotten this under control earlier, and even as I say that, I fear the real feelings of remorse have not even surfaced yet. I fear there are many feelings and emotions lying dormant inside of me, waiting for release, and the power and force of those feelings is so strong and frightening. I mean, the reason I became an addict in the first place is because I wanted numbness. Anyway, this is the first time I've ever written about this. Okay, and I'm going to stop it here. Okay, he says, I am going for 90 days of complete abstinence from PMO and hopefully continuing on after that. That is what I need for myself in my particular situation. Whatever happens, I plan to give it everything I've got because the alternative is no longer an option. Okay, that was a really long video and I talked for a long time, but nonetheless I think it was really important. This man had a lot to share. He wasted from his teens, his 20s, and his 30s fapping, so we can all learn something from this today. So this is the prime example we should be looking at for no fap motivation. People don't realize that porn is literally like a drug. It hijacks the reward centers in your brain and makes you want to do it again and again and again. It's like any other addiction. Alcohol, drugs, etc. You never know you have a problem until you compare your life before and after. That's the only real way people can see changes in their life. When you look at the before and after and compare the two. Okay? So, for example, the motherfucker eating too much damn food every day doesn't realize he or she is getting fat. They can go from 150 pounds to 200 pounds and not realize it. Why? Because they are only getting a little bit fatter day by day. But when you put a picture of your 150 pound self and your 250 pound self side by side, you can't even fucking believe it. And it's the same thing that has happened to this man. He has wasted 20 years. Well, he started from when he was 12, so it's been about 30 years if he's 41 now. And you think if someone came to him at 12 years old and straight up offered him, hey, I'm gonna give you 30 years, you gotta give me 30 years of your life. And in exchange for those 30 years of your life, you'll be able to look at magazines or the screen and you can masturbate and please yourself to women that you're not even gonna touch or you're not even gonna fuck. Oh, and by the way, this is gonna give you anxiety and depression and mess with your mental. Do you think he would take that offer? Honestly, does that sound like a good offer? No! He would never take that offer. But good things and bad things are only realized when you look back on time as a whole, not the day by day. It never works that way. So I think if anybody came to you with that same deal, you wouldn't take it. But yet so many men struggle with nofap around the world. It's a pandemic of its own. So now I want to share my story a little bit about PMO. I struggled with masturbation since I was 12 as well. For me at 12, it started out really playful and, you know, just getting to know myself and know my body. But it got really serious and it got really intense and it became like a real addiction. I could go to Masturbation Anonymous, you know, one of those circle club things, just to like get help for that. Like it was that bad. So, and this went on till I was 22. So I wasted 10 years about this. Yup, that's right, even up to college. In college, I had beautiful women all around me, which I was fucking, by the way. But I was so lazy to go out and get new ones, and my performance was horrible with my old ones because I was busting nuts every day. So my sex life was not satisfying, to say the least. I was just doing it to do it. Yet I was horrible at it. And I was too lazy to go and chase women. Bro, I would go to the club in college, socialize for 30 minutes, try to get a girl, and if I didn't get one, I would go order 2 fat slices of pizza, run home, scroll through Pornhub, and bust 2 nuts. Wash up, eat my pizza, and sleep. And this would be around 10 o'clock, when the clubs aren't even jumping yet. This is some real sad shit, and I had to share that. And I did it only up until I was 22. I only stopped because when I had my first real job, I really didn't have time to do that shit. So gradually I just stopped. In college, I was doing it probably 5 times a week. In high school, I probably did it 20 times a week. By the time I was 23, I was doing it 3 to 4 times a month. By the time I was 24, I was doing it only maybe once a month. It got to a way healthier level. And actually, I'm still 24 right now, and I'm actually on 124 days of nofap, with no plans of going back. Why? Because I stuck it out long enough to be able to compare myself today to the person I was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I was scared to approach girls. I'd rather bust nut in my room rather than trying to get real sex. I had my head fucked up. It was crazy. And now look at me. I'm more confident. I use my time better, and my head is 10 times clearer. And I occupy my head with more shit that I want and that I like. For example, like video games. Instead of worrying about which porn star I'm gonna bust to tonight, I decide which Call of Duty I'm playing. Am I playing Black Ops 4 or am I playing Modern Warfare? Me, I'm a Modern Warfare man, but I don't judge any of you Black Ops 4 fans out there. Something's wrong with you if you really do like Black Ops 4 more than Modern Warfare. But anyway, the point is, I'm more relaxed, right? And so this video is more about habits and not letting yourself sink into a bad place with a bad habit, whether it's fapping, drinking, eating, whatever it is. So I want you to expect another vid where I talk specifically about why no fap is beneficial to you and why you should stop fapping. I think as men, it's really essential for us to engage in this sort of no fap movement, because you gotta understand the internet is relatively new. So a lot of us grew up with the internet and seeing these porn websites for free. We're 13, 14. We can't hold ourselves. That's like giving a 13-year-old or 12-year-old alcohol. They're gonna abuse it. This shit is the same, and it's the reason why they say you shouldn't watch porn till you're 18. But of course, they don't really monitor the websites properly. All you gotta do is just say, are you 18? Click yes, that's it. There's no really precautions to take to watch that shit. And you're giving young kids a substance. Yes, it's a substance, just like drugs, just like alcohol, that can mess with their mental and mess with their life, and it's happening. But you know, I see that this no fap movement is coming around really strong lately, and I've found it beneficial in my life, and I feel like a lot of young men do too. Don't wait till you realize that you're in too deep, like this guy who waited 30 years to figure out he was in too deep. Don't wait like me, who actually I didn't wait 10 years. I knew about 5 years, but I struggled to quit. But don't wait till you have that moment. Just start now if you find out it's a problem.